Today's episode is one of those conversations that goes way beyond just strategy. We're going to be talking about leadership, recruiting, duplication, and what it actually takes to build something that will last in today's market. And I want to set the tone for this conversation because this is really for you. If you are building a people driven business, so whether you're in network marketing, direct sales, or you're a coach or a consultant building a 6, 7, 8 figure business, this is about where you grow through people. But let's be honest, a lot of people are showing up online, they're posting content, they're trying to grow teams, they're trying to build a brand, but they're missing the systems, the leadership, and the follow through that actually create duplication and momentum. And this is where your personal brand becomes everything because people don't just join your business anymore or buy from your business. They follow leaders and they buy from leaders. They join people. And if your brand isn't building trust, clarity, and connection, it's going to be very hard to recruit, to retain, and grow at a high level. So I'm going to be joined by Joan Robison, one of my very good friends, mentor, even a former client of mine. She's a leadership systems expert, strategic advisor, and a coach with over 25 years of experience and 4 multi-million dollar organizations built. Joan has helped thousands of leaders not just grow, but build teams that actually work. What I love about Joan is her ability to simplify what most people overcomplicate, especially when it comes to recruiting, onboarding, and developing leaders in a way that actually duplicates. So if you've ever felt like you're doing all the things, but your team isn't growing, you're recruiting, but it's not actually sticking, or you're showing up online, but it's not translating into real leadership or momentum, this episode is going to give you a completely different perspective. All right, let's get into it. You're listening to the Secret Marketing Diary of Personal Brands, where being the face of your business gets to be powerful, profitable, and unfiltered. All right, Joni, I am so happy that you're on with me today. Gosh, we have known each other for, I don't know, it's like 8 years.
A long time.
Long ass time.
Yeah.
And you know, I love how we started our relationship and friendship. It was professional at first, and now we've become close friends. You've been one of my mentors. And um, I wanted to bring you on because you have done such an amazing and incredible job at really building your personal brand, which is a lot of what we talk about here. But I think this conversation is going to be really important for today's marketplace because there's so many people building in the network marketing space, as well as
Sure.
getting out of it. But
Right.
there's also, right? But there's also, aside from the network marketing space, there's also coaches and consultants who are trying to scale people driven businesses. So, you know, I
Sure.
know your expertise, a lot of it is in network marketing, but I know you also work with coaches and consultants. And I'm seeing a lot of activity like, you know, content, recruiting, outreach, but not a lot of actual duplication or sustainable growth, which is where people are hitting a wall. And at the same time, everyone is talking about building a personal brand, but they're not always connecting to their leadership or systems and what actually moves people into action. So you've
Mhm.
been doing this for a really long time, right? Um,
Mhm.
Not just building, but helping organizations build multi-million dollar organizations. So I want to start there. So when you look at today's market, especially for people building teams or scaling a people driven business, where do you see right now where the biggest disconnect is between building a personal brand, recruiting effectively, and actually creating that duplication that they need in their business?
Yeah. Well, Gina, it's kind of a loaded question because I think there's multiple areas where there's gaps. But what I would say is, I think the first gap that I see is people really understanding that, you know, I've got my network marketing business, but I
Mm-hmm.
also need to really brand myself so
Yeah.
that I've got something tangible that's my own, just in case, if you will. but I mean, I think that's kind of the initial just in case, but the real reason is because when you're when you understand that people are buying you as you
Mhm.
develop a brand, that also is your own. It's your own asset. And to me, there isn't anything better than having your own asset because you're not at the liberty of a company or maybe it's somebody else's full-time job,
Right.
you literally have full control over that. So I think the first thing is just the gap. There's just a big understanding and maybe even a misunderstanding of kind of what is really the purpose of building your brand. Because it's
Mhm.
not just to sell more, it's not just to have stronger reach or talk to more people, or because it all flows and loops together. The second thing I see as a gap is people's focus because I know you know, and I know this too, that when we have multiple things going on, it can be
Yeah.
really easy to stay in the weeds. And I'm
Yeah.
laughing because you mentioned at the beginning that I've been your mentor, but you've actually been my mentor in many different ways as
Aw.
well. Because even myself, guys, I mean, I'm here to tell you, I'm going to give you Gina knows, we all have blocks or we all believe that we can, you're working in these areas, but the gap I think is the area that I'm working in really moving the needle because that whole focus deal, I can be focused in doing something for my brand or, even for my other businesses. But if
Mhm.
they don't move the needle, it's kind of wasted time. And I think people work really hard, but often I think they work really hard on the wrong things that don't move the needle, you
Yeah.
know? And jokingly, I'll say this to you. It's kind of like, we want things that aesthetically look good, but
Mhm.
again, like a Canva graphic isn't going to help me close a sale or
Right.
recruit or really even move my brand forward, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You personally, I mean, I've seen you evolve and I've seen your personal brand evolve. Remember when we started working together years ago is when you were coming out with Flip the Switch with your book.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
then you had the Ignite Your Light cards, which I love. I think you still use those, right?
Yeah. Oh,
And
yeah.
um and you have also like since then you've moved through some different companies, but your point is that what has stayed strong and consistent and what nobody can ever take away from you is your actual personal brand.
Right.
So I
Right.
think you're like a perfect example of why it's so important to build your personal brand. So can you share a little bit like personally that journey because it really is a journey and I know it's still it is for you, it is for me. We're always evolving and we're always growing. But
Yeah.
share a little bit of how that's been for you personally.
Yeah. So, first off, like and I just wanna say this, and I'll send you the money, Gina, later. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But but the truth is, you were one of the first people that really helped me move the needle, right? Because guys, when I first started, I gotta tell you, I didn't realize so many things. Like, I had a Facebook page that had some friends and some followers, and we're talking about, like you said, Gina, I mean, gosh, it's been like 8 years, but
Yeah.
um, I wasn't really using my page effectively, first off. I didn't really know about how to grow a group. I didn't know that, like, oh gosh, you could use a lead magnet and collect emails and you're starting to build an email list, right? I
Yeah.
just didn't really have the knowledge. So I would say, again, going back to your question, it started with really an understanding, I think, of the big picture of like
Mhm.
what I wanted to create was, I was writing a book and the book really was to help network marketers understand really the journey of personal development as well
Mhm.
as developing your skills and your team. And I still think the book Flip the Switch, it's about 5 years, 6 years old now, but it's still very relevant
Yeah.
because it's always going to be about developing yourself before you can go develop other people when it comes to network marketing. But going back to the brand, like it took my focus a bit off of my business. So,
Mhm.
there's just was growing pains and there were just things that I needed to understand. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned is that before you go spend a whole lot of money on, building out this or building out that, that right in front of you, there's a lot of things that you can do as somebody that's just embarking on a brand or, you're just, you know, maybe developing your brand that
Right.
you don't have to invest, 10, 20, 30, $40,000 in some,
Mhm.
high performing anything. I
Right.
mean, I know again, Gina, you helped me get some really simple ads going that were helping me literally get the word out about Flip the Switch and the beginnings of growing that brand.
Yeah.
And, from there, then it's layering on next pieces. But what I kind of see with the brand and why I think a lot of people will shy away is they're either number one, investing too much money and then they run out of money and they're kind of like,
Mhm.
what do I do? That
Yeah.
this is my impression. Or I see them doing too much. They're trying to be something to everyone.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, I'm in YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on, I'm on
Yep.
TikTok shop, all the things. And it's like, well, they don't even have time to take a sales call. Or
Right.
they don't, like, where's all my time going? It's eaten up doing all these things. So again, I'm going to come back to, and I still have to follow my own suggestion is,
Mhm.
just taking one thing at a time and, understanding that you've got a lot right in front of you that you can develop and use before you go investing big bucks. But I am going to say one thing. I think everybody does need a coach. And I know you're a
Yeah.
coach. I know I'm a coach. And I'm just saying it because if I wouldn't have had the direction of you in the beginning and then other people as I did different things, it would
Mhm.
be, I still might be spinning my wheels because you do,
Yeah.
I believe, need to kind of understand or have an understanding um, of how things work. And then,
Right.
then you can actually start seeing some traction and
Yeah.
growth.
And you need support and accountability, and you can't pretend to, like, know everything, right? So,
No.
yeah.
And who does? I mean, if we all knew everything before we
Right.
embarked on, I mean, yeah,
We
it'd
would
be,
all be, like,
yeah,
living on an island right now with
right,
a private jet. Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
We'd all be Richard Branson.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So right, let's talk a little bit about, like, connection, and we can even weave in connection when it comes to recruiting if you're in network marketing, but also when it comes to if you're a coach or a consultant and, working with new clients. Because, when it comes to per being a leader and having that personal brand that people are following because they're following you as a leader. I think it's so important, and I know we've talked about this on projects that we've worked on, like when
Yeah,
we when we've told people you need to be personally one-on-one connecting with people,
yeah, yeah,
and people fight it, but it's
yeah,
so important. So from your perspective, like, let's tell me a little bit about why you think that is so important, especially in today's market, if you really want to stand out and you want to make more sales. I mean,
yeah.
bottom line, we want
Well,
to have a business.
yeah, I mean, this is probably a subject that, how people get really passionate on like one area. I mean,
Yeah.
whether it's like I'm an advocate for, horses or, whatever it is. Like this
Yeah.
is something for me that I'm really passionate about because I think when COVID hit, it
Mhm.
caused so many people to retreat and inadvertently without even knowing it, they became very transactional,
Yeah.
right? And I I just think that's where it really became noticeable that
Mhm.
people stopped talking to people. And
Mhm.
again, I don't think they even meant to, but it
Right.
became easier to sort of, if you will, hide behind the DM or the camera or whatever
Mhm.
it is because we weren't supposed to talk to each other anymore. Well, that really isn't the case. And that will never, I'm going to say this, never be the case when it comes to developing relationships. And I think if you just go back in time, okay, you know, you go back even to the biblical days, people walked with people,
Yeah.
people are in relationship with people. I mean, could you imagine being married to somebody that all you did was text them? That
Right.
you never saw him in person, you never got a, it'd be pretty difficult to
Yeah.
maintain a connection and a relationship.
Mhm.
So to me, I was just doing a training earlier this morning, and I've got a gal that just recruited 3 after being in one of my programs, really like in the first week.
Mhm.
And it was fine tuning her flow because she wasn't making it mandatory that when
Mhm.
they got to this certain place in the recruiting flow that they got on either a Zoom, a phone call, a FaceTime. There's lots of different ways you can do it.
Right.
But she wasn't doing that. And so what ended up happening is she's now recruited 3 people by just a small tweak, and
Yeah.
then me sharing with her how you can do this in 20 minutes. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't need to be these hour-long interviews
Right.
or anything like that. I mean, you can literally get down to brass tacks, hitting 4 certain areas that will
Mhm.
give you the information you need that lead to that person making a decision.
Right.
But yeah, but I mean, like I said, I could go on and on about connection, but I like to think of it also like this. People buy from people they know, so that means we have to be in front of them. We got to
Mhm.
be seen. And if we're not seen, then we have to do the reaching out, the initiating. That's
Yeah.
part of the leadership, right? I'm leading. They buy from people that they like. So
Mhm.
for me to like you or you to like me, we've got to have interaction,
Mhm.
and they buy from people they trust. So if we know these things, and these are timeless principles from,
Yeah, they're basic.
Bob
They're like
Proctor, Zig Ziglar, everyone
yeah.
talked about this. I
Yeah.
mean, they're not going to leave, right? But what I was going to say is if it's no like and trust, well, all of those things have to do with creating a strong connection,
Yeah.
not creating a strong text message or a script, right?
Mhm. Yep.
So, I don't want anybody here to think that I don't think the magic happens in the DMs. I think it does, but I think it also continues out of the DMs
Mhm.
into a conversation. Now, there's going to be somebody listening that's like, well, I do the ATM process, and at the end, they teach me blah, blah, blah. Guess what? I teach ATM. Gina does too. We've been doing
Mhm.
ATM, but we still believe after you ATM
Right.
message, you still get on a phone and talk to people. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I talk about this a lot, and I poke fun of myself. Yeah, I actually still talk on the phone. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where people are I just feel I don't want to say that people get lazy, but they they're so used to, like you said, being retreated, right? That
Yeah.
they need to break out of that. So we are encouraging all of you to break out of that if that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
The other thing that I love to do that I get so many compliments all the time is I will leave voice notes, whether it's
Yeah.
through text or through Messenger, through Facebook or DMs, through Instagram, or even over on LinkedIn, wherever, because I want people to hear my voice and to know that I'm a real person. The way that
Yes.
people the way that they take that audio versus written text is completely different because they hear your tone of voice. It's just feels more genuine and they can get a better understanding of your personality and like where you're coming from. So that's
Right.
another thing that I love to do. Um
Yeah. Wait, Gina, you know what? I've been doing something. This isn't
mhm.
anything new and different, but I want to share this little tip if I
Yeah.
could with the
Yeah.
group here. So, so many people have got in their mind like I need a recruit. Today I'm recruiting. Like it's this like I'm going to capture them, I'm going to convince them, I'm going to get them. And I think that that kind of mentality is really harmful
Mhm.
because people will be disappointed going at it that way. And oftentimes they skip steps because they're so focused on the end result that they're
Yeah.
not they're not really perfecting. I don't want to use the word perfect, but I mean, they're not taking the process and really
Mhm.
understanding the journey, right?
Yeah.
The journey. So, one thing that I've got people doing that has made a huge impact on people's businesses is I've got people, and I just literally, the reason why I'm pulling this up is because I just assigned this to a group. But it's basically how to make 30 connections in 15 minutes.
Mhm.
And it's just the easiest. You guys will recognize this, but my question is, you might know what I'm going to share, but are you doing it? Because the majority of
Right.
people aren't.
Right.
So if you literally set a timer for 15 minutes, this will cause you to not overthink nearly as much. And
Mhm.
the only thing you're doing is you're finding people on your socials to do just what Gina said, which is what made me kind of go, oh, wait, I want to share this,
Yeah.
which is you're going to recognize something that's important about them. So use their name. I
Mhm.
always use like, hey, Gina, what's happening? Or, hey, Gina, you got to check this out. Or, hey,
Mhm.
Gina, I thought you'd want to know this. And then I dot, dot, dot. And then
Yeah.
I do a voice message. And I think
I
it's
love
really
that.
crucial that those voice messages are just like 30 seconds. If you
Mhm.
need to make a couple of them, that's fine. But you want when somebody looks at it to not go, oh my God, she left me a 4-minute message. Like I don't want to live. But if it's 30 seconds, even if it's a few increments to the brain, it's palatable, right? I can
Yeah.
do that. So the first thing you do, like I said, is you set the timer and you just are not thinking about anything about the business. It's just
Mhm.
about seeking to be interested in them. And then step two is personalizing the connection using their name and one recall about them. You can
Mhm.
go to their Facebook page. Oh, they were camping. Oh, they were in
Yeah.
Hawaii. The little boy broke his arm. It doesn't matter what it is, but you're making that authentic, "Hey,
Right.
gosh, Gina, I saw you were on a girls' trip over the weekend. Where'd you guys go?"
Yeah.
Boom, that's it, that's 1,
Yeah.
and now I got 29 more to go.
Yeah.
Well, what will happen, you guys, is you're gonna recognize that number 1 for you, you're gonna get used to talking to people.
Mhm.
Number 2, you're going to notice that people are going to really appreciate the fact that you thought of them because so many people aren't doing that.
Yep.
And number 3, probably I'd say half to 3/4 won't even respond on the first day. So make sure if you did get them on a public post or in a Facebook group that you friend them.
Mhm.
But also notice that you will pick up momentum. If you did this every day for 30 days,
Mhm.
can you imagine how
Yeah.
many? I mean, that's 900 touches.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
900.
it's 30, yeah. So, what you're talking about right now, this is
Yeah.
actually what I call my Ignite Power Hour. It's
Ah,
I have this power hour that I suggest our clients to do. I do it. I don't do the full hour all the time
yeah,
like I used to because I feel like I can give myself grace now because I've done this for so long. But
yeah,
15 minutes of that power hour, because it's broken up into 4 15-minute segments. One of the segments is 15 minutes of doing just what you said.
yeah,
And guys, what this also does is if you feel like only your friends and family are constantly seeing your content and nobody else is, this is
yeah.
now going to help your content get seen by those people that you are sending messages to. because
Right.
that's how the algorithm works. So
Yeah.
it does a lot. It's like, yeah, I love that you
Well,
talked about that. So
and
important.
Gina, think about it because, guys, the majority of sales are made once you know someone.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Think of how much you're enriching that
Mhm.
connection. I mean, it
Yeah.
just is like you're never going to run out of people to talk to if
Yeah.
you can be in that leadership position. I say leadership
Mhm.
because you're the asserter. You're the one that's leading the way. You're not the
Yeah.
you're not the one bugging people,
Right.
right? Because you don't want anything in return. This
Yeah.
is just you being kind and recognizing people. And
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you what, I do this. I haven't done it 30 people in 30 days for a while myself, but
Mhm.
I do this frequently, daily, at least 10 people, at
Yeah, it becomes
least.
habit. Right,
It
it just
just,
becomes part of what you
right?
do. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what, it has also strengthened some of the connections with
Mhm.
just like people like maybe you and me. We've
Yeah.
been friends, like you said, for 8 years. I don't have to talk to you every day, but
Right.
we both reach out and, that also will help you come to mind
Mhm.
when something is the right timing, you
Yeah.
know, whatever it could be.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. I sometimes feel like I'm like a broken record saying this, so I'm so glad I'm not the only one that's saying to do this
Yeah.
because we all have our different ways of doing it, but it's exactly what I've been talking about. So
Yeah.
I love that you talk about this.
Well,
Um
and especially when people are really, nervous to reach out or to talk to people. It's like,
Mhm.
guys, the only way to get over a fear is to walk through it. I
Yeah.
mean, it doesn't just become easier by thinking about it.
100%. So share, if you don't mind, can you share a little bit about your own story? Because we didn't start there. I mean, we talked about the
Sure.
book and all that, but I would
Yeah.
love for you to like kind of go all in and also let people know like when did you decide, okay, this is what I'm doing and this is the
Yeah.
journey that I'm going to take.
Yeah. So you're talking about from the very beginning, kind of
Yeah, like
ish.
you're yeah.
I'll concise that baby down. No. Well, you guys, I did start in the industry in 2001, so it's like 26 years ago, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
long time ago. And literally I was, working as an executive at Nordstrom. I loved what I did, but I had this kind of aching feeling in my heart that I really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Every time I put my son on the bus or had to go pick him up from daycare, I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And
Yeah.
so I remember pulling out a journal and I just started writing what the perfect job would look like. I didn't know anything about like manifesting or any of that, but I did know about prayer. And that's kind of the way I sent that off was,
Mhm.
well, God, this is what I'd want. And I remember thinking, because I lived in a rural area in Washington outside of the city of Seattle, across the water, I thought, oh my gosh, you know what? I'd have to be a lady of the night or a drug dealer to make six figures and be stay at home mom, you know? But wouldn't you know that when you get clear on what you want, you don't have to know how to do it. Trust me, you don't have to know how. But I really got clear on what I wanted. It's like God, the universe, whatever you believe, it starts aligning for you. And
Mhm.
within 2 weeks, I got my first phone call, first invitation. Now that should be a clue to everybody, an invitation. Hey, Joni, I have no idea if this would interest you or, if you would even love these products, but have you ever thought about doing something like this? And I remember thinking, well, what the heck is it? Really? And that started my journey. And I have to tell you that I said yes with a lot of fear because
Yeah.
even though I had sales experience, this was so kind of outside my comfort zone. And
Mhm.
what I want to share is that secretly, because I didn't tell the person who sponsored me this. that
Mhm.
moment. But secretly, I thought, what if this could be the thing that I could be a full-time stay-at-home mom?
Yeah.
And in my mind, for whatever reason, I didn't verbalize it at that moment, but I remember saying, "Yeah, okay, I want 500 extra dollars. I wanna take my son to Disneyland. I wanna eat Chinese food whenever I want, not on a budget," you know? But I just started learning the skills, and I followed the company's success plan. I've had ups and downs and ups and downs.
Mhm.
I've stayed with it. I've stayed committed to myself. But I can tell you guys right now that I would say the reason why I've had the success I've had, I've built, geez, I'm in my fifth build in the field, with the brand. I mean, different successes in these different pockets and areas of the business. I'm
Mhm.
going to just tell you, believe it or not, it's not the skill set that
Mhm.
I believe has made me successful, although that does come,
Right.
but it's the authenticity and being genuine and allowing people to see you for who you are, kind
Mhm.
of with the ups, with the downs, because people are looking at you and they're going, "Is it possible? And could I do it?"
Right.
And if you can show them that it is possible, here's how I felt when I started, and don't ever forget where you came from because it's so powerful. It's
Mhm.
so powerful. Here's what happened, and here's where I am today. You're going to start drawing those kinds of people to you that have similar
Right.
desires, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you an idea. I mean, there's obviously in all those years, there's some there's some stories, but
Yeah.
definitely I love this industry for what it's given to me, to my family. I mean, it changed the whole trajectory of my son's, growing up and
Yeah.
life, given me so many blessings and the ability to make the kind of income that I desire. So,
That's
tons of beautiful
beautiful.
relationships too.
Love it. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna change the way I ask this question because the way I ask this usually for everyone else is if there was one secret that you could give to the audience about building a personal brand, what would that be? But I'm gonna change this for you because I
Mm,
want to keep it with your theme of flipping the switch. So
uh-huh.
if there was one switch someone needs to flip in their business right now to start seeing real growth, what would that be?
I mean, I think you need to talk to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I really believe, Gina, that now more than ever, you at the beginning mentioned, what is going to set you apart. And I remember growing up, um, my parents always really instilled in us like, you have a unique design and have a purpose and a plan to be here. And
Mhm.
I don't believe that's changed. But I also remember as my own son was growing up that I used to tell him on the soccer field, Miles, you have to be willing to do what other people aren't doing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just little extras. So
Mhm.
if the majority of people, and let's just call it what it is, could be a little bit lazy, could be in fear, could be maybe they don't want to make the time, could be they've got to hang up with talking to people. I mean, there's all these things. But
Right.
if we already know that, you know, people are feeling this lack of authenticity or lack of connection, and we could literally make people's environments, make people's worlds, make people's lives better by connecting.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter if it's the brand, if it's your network marketing business, if it's your other, brick and mortar working for your doctor's office, wherever you're at, it doesn't matter. Talk to people
Mhm.
because everything good comes from conversations. And when you really can, like, really believe that, you'll change the way that you do most things at your business because, like, for me, it's all about getting the right systems in place so I can talk to more people.
Right.
So I'm not like out there on all these social platforms doing all these things that they make the algorithm go, or it does this or it does that, but oh my gosh, I haven't talked to people in a week or two.
Right.
Right? And I've been there, just so you
Mhm.
guys know. Like, I've gotten distracted by creating,
Mhm.
and you can't and keep creating and
Right.
expect a different result.
Right.
So, yeah, that would be my
Beautiful.
thing.
Okay.
Talk to the damn
Talk
people.
to the people. So we're going to wrap up. I want to leave everyone with where they can connect with you, and we'll have links to all your things in the podcast description, and or if you're watching this over on YouTube, we'll have all of that. Is there anywhere specific that you want to drive people to check more things out
Yeah.
about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely think send me an email. I'm in my emails a lot these days, and that's Joan Robison 1 at Gmail. I mean, Gina, I know you'll put it down there. The other thing is send me a DM in Facebook Messenger. If you want to talk a little bit more about any of my programs, we've got programs that I've been doing that start with really mindset work, recruiting programs, group coaching, and one on one, and some really incredible, incredible results from people that I've been working with around building their business, building their brand, and systems as well.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Yay. Thank you so much, Joni, for being on. I love
Oh,
this.
thank you. Thank you
It was,
for
it was
having me. It's
wonderful.
always so fun.
Of
All right.
course. Of course. All right, guys. I will see you on the next one. Bye. You're listening to the Secret Marketing Diary of Personal Brands, where being the face of your business gets to be powerful, profitable, and unfiltered.